Okay, I got to machine the decks on the top of this case here and get them all squared up, and then bore the spigots out for the cylinders go in, and then I got to deck the motor mounts off flat and square. So I took this repop knuckle case, threw it up on here, and we'll see how close, if I think this thing is square or not, so I can use that as a reference on what angles to cut that one at. And right off the bat, we got a problem. I got this one here zeroed out more or less. And 0. Of course, now it's not repeating with the crap, but I held it over there, it was 0. There's 0.8. Yeah, some wiggle room in it, but so this one needs to go up a little bit now. Bouncy, bouncy. This surface is not very flat, so it's hard to tell what you really need. See how we got wiggle, wiggle? 7 that way, 18 that way, 3. So we're close. You go on this side, it wiggles around even more. It's got a lot of wiggle in it. So you got that roughly 0. So you can go over here and try to get this one to figure out what you got to work with, but it's too tall to fit in here. So you don't have a good reference point to where it's at. He's got nothing to go off of. So we're going to go off the decks on the bottom over here. It's supposed to be a 45-degree V-twin. Yeah, even though I know it varies. So theoretically, it should be 22.5 degrees in the middle, right? So this one here, we're coming at 25 degrees. Pretty much on the nose. And the other side's 20. So we're 2.5 degrees off. So that means the motor, instead of being square in the frame, is tilted 2.5 degrees. Depending on which way it is, it's 5 degrees. It's 25 on that one, so it's only 20 on this one. 22.5 feet forward. So that's like it's offset to the rear a little bit, which makes it even worse than the clearance in the rear head. Where's the other way around? Let me see. No, it'll be the other way around. It's got more angle in the front, less on the back, so it's tilted. It's leaned forward to give you more exhaust clearance to frame. But I don't know if that is how it's supposed to be or not, because there's no reference. So right now, that's what we're looking at. Is this surface here supposed to be square at an angle? That's another thing I don't know. And it's not, obviously. So that one's at 87.5 degrees. So, don't know if that's correct either. That's 2.5 degrees from straight. These are all unknowns. So I tried beating this down a little bit and I got way off the deck angle still. It only dropped a degree here and it dropped 100th out on this side at least. Now there's supposed to be an offset between here and here. On a 48 and later bike, that varies anywhere from 1.950 to 1.980, and I have seen 2 inches. But pretty much more like 1.980, 20th out under the 2-inch number is kind of what the offset that I'm thinking is more or less standard. But I see a variance in that number. Nothing's consistent. So right now I don't know what the hell this case is supposed to be at. I know this case is machined wrong on other parts, so do you really trust it? Not me. Do I trust this one after being on the welding? Kind of. I know this part of the case has not been modified. The welding was on the other half. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, stick it in the machine, see what I get. The other thing is I have this one right here, which is my junk case I bought. It's been ventilated, but the front motor mount is still stock. The cylinder deck is still stock. The oil pump surface is stock, and the lifter blocks are stock. So, as best I can tell, this stuff's never been modified. So, are these lifter block angles the same as the cylinder deck heights? I have seen variance on that up to 3 degrees. So, once again, there's no reference out there what stock is. Every time you measure a case, it's different. So I know this case is an original case. I know that knucklehead over there is an original case. So I'm going to measure this case, then I'll throw the knuckle case up in there, and I'll get an angle what this is supposed to be, and that should help me give me an idea what the motor mouth should be at, because this is a large flat surface. The cylinder decks are a large flat surface too, but it's kind of hard to get to it because this doesn't really fit in there very well, but kind of almost get in there. So those are something I can go from. Coming off the motor mounts themselves, it's a very short distance, and usually they're all torn up, so it's not a good reference point. The oil pump's surface is rarely ever damaged, so that's an excellent reference point. The cylinder decks have been cut a lot, and they vary from case to case, so I know they vary a lot. I know lifter blocks vary quite a bit, so back to this. This should be a good reference plane. That should never be screwed with, so you want to, if you're gonna start from a 0 point, start from something that's never been, doesn't get modified. Nobody ever cuts that surface. Nobody. So all these other surfaces I've seen cut, modified a lot. So for now, I don't like where this one's at. So that's that Moto Technique case that they say is not their case, but has their name on it. So yeah, it's not theirs. Yeah, sure. So we can go ahead and pull this out and slap in the Harley case there. And let's see what we get. Now I re-squared up my head, so I know everything's with a 10-inch circle here. It's within a quarter of a thou, so I know that's very accurate. So I'm not worried about that. That part I'm not worried about being off. This is one of those deals where you spend a few hours trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do for a 20-minute cut. If that long. Your setup is always what matters the most. Cutting is quick. Okay, we know we don't like this case. We'll probably wind up cutting it. Because everything about that case is bad. Okay, so that leaves our nice virgin unmolested case. Everybody laughs at me for buying junk Harley parts. It's amazing how much you learn from junk parts. And how much you use them. I don't know of any database that gives me any information on what's what, so make it up as you go. In past experience, every manufacturer makes their cases different than Harley. And Harley can't seem to make two things in a row the same either, so it's not like they got a good standard to work to. Okay, so that surface looks pretty flat. Don't see any major wrong with it. I see a little waviness in it from corrosion and stuff like that. It's normal wear and tear, but no nicks or anything that matter. Here, a couple nicks there, nothing serious. That surface seems to be nice. High spot there, what am I getting on? pretty good. So that should be a good starting point to use for referencing. You can see all the high spots in the reflection maybe. I don't know, turn the light off might help. See all the unevenness in the case there. You get the light just right. See how it waves at you a little bit. You see all the little high spots were being hit. Now my file, no file is dead flat, so that's a reference. Now this has been trimmed. There's a cut here. So this deck here is questionable now because I can see a cut mark right here. It's lower than this here, so it looks like this might have been surfaced at one time. So that means you can't trust that surface at all. This surface here has not ever been cut. You don't see no cut marks in it, so that's still a good reference point. This one here I've lost interest in. This one here I still like. You see how nice and smooth that is on the reflection there, how the light goes across. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over and stick it in there and figure out how I'm going to hold it. We only got one motor mount to work to, obviously, because the room is missing. At least I get a reference what the lifter blocks are to this surface there, which is kind of what I need to know anyway. So everything else is optional. So you just go through the hole like that. Need a longer stud for that one. Let's see if this one's long enough or not. Not quite. Long stud. Okay, I'm going to run the work in here, so that's got to go up a lot higher. I thought the wood was on top of there, but it wasn't. Because this case is set up offset more. There we go. So for now, I can deal with this thing. Two boards up. Bit. A little more pressure on there, but still enough I can still move it. Alright. So now we have this pretty high up in the air so I can get to it. This here looks like it's halfway close to being flat. So we got the case pinched between this one here and this one over here. Plates in the middle, obviously, and you got the case is sitting flat because this is a nice flat surface here, and my ankle plate's flat. So, and it's pretty square. It's easier within a 1/10 when you sweep it up and down, so it's pretty close. I'm really worried about issues like that being bad. Okay, so now we're going to look and see what we got for our numbers here. Get some kind of an idea of what's supposed to be what. Okay, so initially I like to be, I think 22.5, so motor straight would be a good call here. So we're at 21.6. 21.9. 22.5. This one should be the same, 22.5. The shocker, it's not. 22.1. Yep, 22.1. 22.5. Okay, so this needs to go down slightly to 22.3. 22.3. Well, you gotta make sure it's square, because when doing an angle, if you're at an angle like that or like that, it'll change the other angle, because it's a compound angle. It has to be square. Now I'm resting right up against these studs here, and the bolt pattern on these cases are straight. So if you butt the back side that's right up against the studs there, it's flat. These are supposed to be. Make sure I didn't change that for a second. Okay, let's see what this comes in at right now. 22.1, 22.2. I use my big level over there to level it, so I know the mill's flat right now. Even though the electronic doesn't say it is, but I don't care. It's 22.3, and it looks like it's a high 3 because it was all the way up to 4. Let's see what this one says. Looks like it's a high also because it's a 22.45. Looks like this one wants to be at 4 instead of 3. Alright, close enough. We're 0.1. We're less than 0.1 degree off. So, if this is square and the motor sits in the bike square, this motor mount should be square. Now, I don't know if this motor mount's ever been cut. That's another unknown, you never know. But we can obviously see it is nowhere near straight. It's 1.93 degrees off right now. I'm being held relatively close to square. .195, 199, to know where you're at. Surface is not quite dead flat. See, I'm walking a little bit. So it looks like we're pulling close to a 2 degree off on the mount. And we are doing which direction on the front? We are low on the front. Zero's way up there. There's 0. How far off that? About 30 thou. See? That's what degrees do. They make a big difference. Okay, now if we go in here and put this in here, 89.9. Okay, so that looks like that's supposed to be at 90 degrees. There's 90. Once again, you got to hold this perpendicular to be exactly right. Okay, we're right at 90. So, take that out again. This thing so it's square. Looks pretty square to me. We're at 89.9. You breathe on it, it'll go another tenth. And 90. So you can get exactly perpendicular. We're at 90. 89.9 to 90, it's close. Okay, so going by this surface here is 90 degrees to your center on your decks, but not the motor mount at this point. Looks like we're running about a 2-degree offset in the motor. That'd be my guess. And right now we are low on the front, which tilts the motor forward. I'm guessing that's the direction is. Let's see, I know it's angled in the front. Check over here. See, it's not exactly a flat mount. Semi-flat right there, so we're 199, 196. Pretty damn close to 2. Right there it's 2, 208 right there, but that's pretty flat there. It's not wobbling much. 205, 199, so it looks like it's 2 degree. That's a 100th of a degree, not a 10th, so it's quite a bit. Pretty close. Okay, so 2 degree. Let me see, we're on the front mount. We'd have more angle on the front. If we move this up, we'd have more angle on this. So if you make more angle on the front, that means you're tilting the motor forward, because it's going to flatten on the back. So you're pulling the head away from the frame. So you're actually tilting it forward a little bit. So it looks like I run a 2-degree tilt off of that surface. Now, let's see what the lifter blocks are at. Those I don't think were modified. Let's see if they're at 22.5 like they should be. Looks pretty close. And we're at 22.2, 22.3. Same as the deck right there, more or less, except it's on the lower side instead of higher side on the 22 number. What am I hitting on that side? Don't know. Ugh. What am I hitting on over here? Oh, front mount. Looks pretty close to square, and we are hitting. There we go, 22.3. I think I see up under there. What do you see? Do you see 22.3? Yep, that's what I'm seeing. 22.3. There's a 3 in there. Okay, so we got 22.3 twice. So that means we're just under 45 degrees by 4/10. That's 44.6. We're 4/10 of a degree narrower than the motor's supposed to be. And right now the lifter blocks and the cylinder decks are showing that number. They should be 45 degrees. It's a 45 degree V-twin, but obviously this case is 4/10 off. And even though that top deck has been cut, it looks like it's the same amount of air on everything. Alright, so that's what we got to go right now. So let me pull this out. We'll swap cases with the other one. Let's see what it is.